Chapter 15. One day, out of a clear blue sky, I advised Trina that on the following day we would go to San Geronimo Tavice. We had never been there, but in order to go, we were told that we had to take a train. The trip on the next day was uneventful, and we did not even meet anyone on the train with whom we could share the bounty of God. Upon our arrival, we found no village, only a train station, and the conductor advised us that Tavice was about a half a kilometer down the trail, but we would not have time to visit the village as the train only unloaded and returned immediately to Oaxaca. My feelings were that I had chased the rainbow, and I went off to play with children while Trina talked to the conductor. Little did I know the pot of gold we were to discover at this rainbow's end. As we were once more seated on the train returning to Oaxaca, Trina said, "You know what that conductor told me?" He said, "There is no one in the world who cares anything about the people in Tavice." There was nothing anyone could have said that would have touched my heart so deeply, and I assured Trina that we all would return. If nothing else, we would tell these people that we loved them, and that all the lovers of God in the world really, truly cared for them. Although to do this would involve a 15-kilometer walk to get back to the highway where we could get a ride back to Oaxaca. Thus the die was cast, and a few days later we were once again on a train to Tavice. As we climbed up the path toward the village, Trina wanted to know how we could go about telling strangers that we loved them. I assured her it would be very easy, for God would guide us. I lay all my affairs in thy hand. When we approached the town, Trina once again asked how we were going to begin. Never in my life had I had such sure and strong guidance as I pointed one building up ahead and told her we were going to start there. We were met at the door by a very beautiful young man who seemed to be expecting us. He invited us in, gave us chairs, and when we were seated, asked what we wanted. I responded that we had come to talk about God. He interrupted me and said, "Just a moment, I'm going to tell you why you are here. You have come to tell me about a new messenger of God and to share with me his message." Both Trina and I were speechless. Not only did he accept immediately and spontaneously the person and the cause of Baha'u'llah, but explained that he had been searching all his life for this. Being educated, he had studied a number of different sects and denominations, but had never accepted any of them. He explained that the night before our arrival we appeared to him in a dream, and he had been forewarned of our purpose and mission. Therefore he stayed home from his work, cleaned up, and waited our arrival. Upon reading this, can any fair-minded person still deny the nearness of God? Our new friend was called Ephraim, and he pleaded for literature that he might know what his newfound beloved desired him to do. We promised that on our return we would bring him some books. We then went through Tavice, but we met no other friends, and never had we been received with such animosity as in this town. The hate and suspicion hung heavily in the air. With the victory of Ephraim warming our hearts and the fierce rays of the sun burning our bodies, we hiked out at Tavice. We never saw Ephraim again. After a short illness of 3 days, he passed away. 5 days before he became ill, we had been in the village and left the longed-for literature without seeing him. As he was working in his fields, he penned with his own hand on the fly-leaf of each book, "Thanks be to God, the Lord of eternity." His mother told us that some of his last words to her were that he was giving his life for the people of Tavice. The transformation of this town was almost instantaneous. The animosity changed overnight to a spirit of love and friendship, and there were soon 15 believers in Tavice, most of them from this man's family. Many years ago, when I was in Unalaska, I made a very serious mistake. This was with the local children. When we first arrived, the children were completely won to my heart. Yet I reasoned erroneously that it was best to win the parents first and the children later. Subsequently, a newly won believer in the Aleutians started children's classes and I helped. These children are some of those who are today accepting the faith. Suddenly, one day I realized that those same children who had followed me through the streets, called me daddy, and held my hand were now 15 to 24-year-old. I vowed that never again would I make this mistake. Now I take the children first, and while they color and play, if I have time to conduct the adult classes. What a joy this is! In the town of Santo Domingo, Tomaltepec, my class grew to over 150 children. Every night as I returned from the villages, I raised my arms to heaven and cried, O God, my God, increase my astonishment at Thee. In one village there were only 2 believers, both old women, who could neither read nor write. How I worried for these precious souls when I was away, as it was known that the clergy and town were very strongly against anything new or different. From the niece of these women I learned how they stood staunch and firm against the open and vicious attacks of the entire village. The young woman, after explaining how her aunt went through this man-made hell, declared herself within a week. We had 15 believers in this village. All the 2 women had to say when I came to see them was again, "Oh, Don Janabi, it was so hard to be a Baha'i and love your neighbors when they are so nasty." Are these not living proof of the nearness of God, as stated by Baha'u'llah? I am nearer to Thee than my own life's vein. No matter how long or deeply we study the glorious teachings of Baha'u'llah, we will forever stand thunderstruck at the tremendous power that lies hidden within the revealed word. One day I had a very bright young man say, after I had explained the faith to him, "Religion is life and very important. One must study for years." I like Baha'i and I think it is beautiful. Perhaps after years of studying the teachings, I will become a Baha'i. I told him that was wonderful because one of the principles of the faith was individual investigation of the truth. He then asked if he might see the Baha'i prayer book. As he read one of Baha'u'llah's prayers, his first reaction was wonderment and astonishment, followed by tears. When he finished, I looked at him and said, "What do you think?" He replied, "Man, I've studied enough. I know this is from God, and I'm ready to become a Baha'i right now."